Good morning. Please take your seats. Our program is about to begin. Thank you. That's lovely. All right. Good morning and welcome to PPL's 2024 Annual Breakfast. My name is Carla Henderson, and I am Senior Vice President of Housing Stability here at PPL. And I just want to say I've only been in this role for a few months, and I'm excited to welcome you this morning. Last year, I was in your seat attending the PPL breakfast for the first time, and I was so impressed that I joined the organization. And Antonio, I will say, looking out, I see some faces that may be on the stage with us next year.
And I'm Antonio Cardona, Vice President of Career Readiness. Thank you all for joining us and for being a part of our program today. It is humbling and exciting to see so many people coming together because of the love we hold for our communities. Please also don't be shy and tell everyone that you're here, and if you are on social media, use hashtag PPL Breakfast. But before we begin enjoying breakfast, we'd like to take a quiet and solemn moment to acknowledge the land where we're all occupying right now. We recognize that all of us at PPL learn, live, and work on the illegally occupied ancestral and contemporary homelands of Indigenous people. We reside on land that was cared for and called home by the Dakota people. We at PPL commit to continue to take active efforts and to partner with American Indian community members and neighbors to seek justice. We will continue our intentional work together as a community development organization, leaders, and activists to build the hope, assets, and self-reliance while centering the experiences and realities of American Indians in our community.
We hope to show you all that PPL is truly stronger with community. Over the next hour, we will show you how our work has more impact and meaning when we work with and in community. We take great pride in our partnerships and relationships. It's in our name, Project for Pride in Living. We have a lot to talk about, but we promise the program is only an hour. Also, today we will be asking for your support of PPL's work and to become part of this work. It's you who help make things happen, and many of you have also contributed to the direction and decisions that have impacted so many. We would first like to acknowledge the many corporate and organizational sponsors for today's event. We'd like to offer special thanks to our friends at Wells Fargo and Weiss Builders as our premium breakfast sponsors. Please review your program and the screens for the many partners who have joined us today. I also get to acknowledge our elected and agency officials who have joined us. We have with us the 30th man to hold the Attorney General's seat, Honorable Keith Ellison. Governor Walz's Deputy Chief of Staff, Patrick Tanis. State Representative Mike Howard, a champion of affordable housing. Hennepin County Administrator David Hull. We also have Minneapolis City Council member Jeremiah Ellison in the house. And to conclude, some people that are near and dear to my heart, my Bloomington folks, Mayor Tim Bussey, Councilmember Jenna Carter, Councilmember Lona D'Alessandro, and my favorite police chief, Booker T. Hodges. Welcome.
We'd also like to thank our table hosts as well. You are our champions and ambassadors for the work of PPL. On your tables, there are many ways to learn about PPL's mission and how to support our housing stability and career readiness efforts. And right now, you got plenty of time to learn more about PPL. from our champions at your table as we take a short break for everyone to enjoy breakfast. We'll see you again in exactly 12 minutes.
I would say, knowing that every day I stepped into the LMOS building, it was like a better day each day because I was only there for 3 quarters, but it was honestly the best 3 quarters of my life in high school, of all my educations that I've ever been to. So it's just made me feel so much better about myself and stronger mentally and emotionally.
All right, I have to get us going here between our socializing and breakfast networking, but I want to thank you all for being here this morning, and a welcome good morning to all. I'm thrilled to be with you this morning celebrating the importance and impact PPL makes in this community. My name's Joe Ravens. I am the branch banking region executive for Wells Fargo in Minnesota, North Dakota, and South Dakota. And since I moved to Minnesota back in 2013, I've always been aware of PPL and the innovative work the staff performs to ensure we're thriving and inclusive at creating a community for all. However, after our bank at Lake and Nicollet was destroyed in the 2020 social uprising, I've become much more familiar with their commitment to partnering with the community to build trust and sustainable solutions. It was all the way back in 1974, 50 years ago, when Wells Fargo and PPL started a relationship that is rooted in building strong individuals and families. We've been partners working to build trust and solutions for residents in the community ever since. More recently, when Wells Fargo was faced with the decision on rebuilding or redevelopment of our office at Lake and Nicollet, we turned to PPL. Teaming up with the Cultural Wellness Center, PPL led a community engagement process to inform how the site would transform. They have been absolutely fantastic, forward-thinking partners who have been thoughtful about ensuring community was at the center of this process and will be able to see and feel their impacts in this project. The funding for this project has also been complex. To further complicate things, building costs have significantly increased following the pandemic. But PPL has stayed with it. They tenaciously identified solutions that included support from various federal, state, county, city, and rebate programs, as well as private funding and donations. With their partnership, I'm pleased to share that almost 4 years later, on Thursday, June 27th, we're going to be breaking ground on the new mixed-use development at Lake and Nicollet. And this site is going to include affordable housing and commercial development components. The 6-story building includes first-floor commercial space for 4 businesses, and very exciting for us, a new Wells Fargo branch location. The remaining floors will provide 110 units of housing offered at below market rate, supporting a key need in that LMI neighborhood. Throughout this process, PPL looked at the Lake and Nicollet development as an opportunity to be inclusive and supportive of the neighborhood. They're a true partner that wants to catalyze community wealth building. Wells Fargo is proud to be their partner in seeing this development find its way through to fruition. Finally, I want to personally thank Paul Williams for his commitment and innovative thinking on our project and so many others around the Twin Cities. Speaking on behalf of my colleagues at Wells Fargo, we sincerely appreciate the legacy he's created that has benefited thousands of residents in our community. Please join me in giving Paul a well-deserved round of applause. And now I'd like to turn your attention to our screens.
What is equitable development? I mean, at its most fundamental, it is the work of equity in community and community development. You put those two together, you get equitable development, and that really is kind of the two pillars of equitable development for us here at PPL. So a great example of our equitable development work is a partnership we've had for probably the last 20 years with American Indian Community Development Corporation.
The Anishinaabe campus is what we call it, the supportive housing that we provide. It's having people to help them, guide them into the next step, whether that is market rate housing, whether that is employment opportunities, whether that is training opportunities. I think a key between our partnership with PPL and AICDC has been our ability to really reach into the community, to ask the community what their specific needs are and how do we address them.
Coming together as partners, equal partners over that period of time in a way that has really not only built their capacity but also built PPL's capacity and knowledge about working in and with Native communities.
Minnesota has some of the worst disparities in the country. Inequities in income, in unemployment rates, in educational attainment, in health outcomes. That's part of building that case for why it makes a difference to focus on equity.
Women, men, we all get the same level of creativity and intelligence, but we don't all get the same opportunity.
The thing around equity is really the idea of equitable outcomes, that we will lose the ability to actually predict someone's income based on race, gender, geography. This is the former Wells Fargo site. This project is really very special because it was really the first honest, committed response post-George Floyd's murder. And so one of the things that really was important when we talked to community members right away is they absolutely wanted there to be an outcome related to healing.
The riots have forced us to kind of go back to square one on Lake Street, working with a black architect and not only benefiting from their experience and their perspective and their rootedness in the community is important. It helps improve our work, it helps improve the design, but it also creates an opportunity for them to be associated with PPL.
I think one of the things that for me was important was that for them to know, they know that I have never done this. They said, we are willing to take the risk with her, and now I do affordable housing. We do it now because we learned with them. I have 2 or 3 other projects because of that one.
The majority of the challenges impacting our communities from a social determinants of health perspective were built on housing and food insecurity. What's wonderful about this project is that we will have 50 units of multi-generational housing space, integrated public benefit retail space of 40,000 square feet that will include a child care center, youth learning centers, a birthing center, and a state-of-the-art food hall to help bring the community back to the east side in a new and innovative way. PPL said this fits us. Everything about this project is about equitable development. It was about listening to the community and building a project that brings their voice forward and sustains all elements of the community as part of the project.
So when we talk about equitable development, we're talking about bringing everybody to the table and hearing the voices and trying as hard as we can to give all voices the same weight.
The number one question from community, honestly, was will we be able to own something?
Feeling heard, feeling like you have voice, feeling like you have a sense of self-agency matters to all of us. Everyone wants that, and communities that aren't heard are communities that aren't bought in. I think that's the lesson of George Floyd, is that we'd been doing things to people for too long. We hadn't been doing things with people. Ownership matters a ton. How we build is as important as what we build.
I'm a little choked up, so forgive me, because that video made me really almost cry. Good morning. I'm so thrilled to be with you this morning. When Paul asked me to speak with you about partnership with PPL, I jumped at the opportunity. There's an African proverb that perfectly captures what I think of partnerships. And it goes, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Now, look at this room. It is filled with what I think of quarterbacks, people who really care, many of whom are doing amazing things. But how many of us are ready to go beyond caring? Now, before I go any further, it's hard to do a 5-minute speech when you're not getting introduced, so I'll do a little quick introduction. My name is Noel Noor. I'm the CEO of Noor Companies. We're a B Corp developer and contractor, commercial contractor in the Twin Cities. We're also a very proud partner of PPL. We're proud to be a partner with PPL because it's an organization that's doing vital, hands-on work to promote equitable development and dismantling systemic racism. It's impossible to talk about systemic racism without talking about the barriers caused by systemic racism head-on. Now, I'm an action-oriented person. The phrase systemic racism fatigues me because it's frequently not accompanied by meaningful action. We've been talking about disparities for over 40 years. And in many ways, we're backsliding on DEI. I don't know if you saw the news on Black Funders Fund that the Supreme Court just decided that they are not going to issue checks this morning to Black-owned businesses, women-owned businesses. Now, I went to Northwestern Kellogg for MBA, and my undergrad was at St. Thomas was finance. So I feel more comfortable talking about numbers than DEI. But I'm not an trained expert on DEI. But by virtue of being a Black immigrant woman doing business in Minnesota, I am an expert on DEI. And I'm here to tell you that PPL is leading the way in creating equitable development through the power of transformative partnership. You saw the video. I have spent the first part of my career in the corporate world, and then I started a real estate and construction company. And I must tell you, I've never been in a more difficult industry as a woman of color. You may wonder, there's a lot of inclusionary goals in every public project. Why isn't there opportunities? Most of those opportunities have a lot of barriers, whether it's experience, bonding capacity, or working capital. And that is why the data shows, get this, 2% of developers are Black developers in the entire United States, and only 1% of commercial general contractors are Black. Now, this room is full of amazing diversity, women, men, people of color. Imagine 98%, that was reversed, and 98% were Black people. Would we be okay with that lack of diversity? And I don't think we would. But that's the harsh reality. Especially because our country is so diverse and amazingly full of people who are full of different diversities. It's been shown that also that customers expect more from Black and brown-owned businesses. We aren't just allowed to be good, we must be exceptional. Living under constant pressure of feeling like you cannot make a mistake is immensely challenging. This pressure makes it much harder to take risks, knowing that there is no room for forgiveness or error. Moreover, any mistake or failure on your part could potentially derail the progress of those who follow in your footsteps. So, true partnerships are one necessary path to success for many of us. And to me, it boils down to 3 things. I call them the 3 Ps. Those 3 Ps contribute to building a more inclusive and empowered community, and I call them power, philanthropy, and purchasing. Excuse me. First, power. I've told this to many of my friends, very close friends. One of my biggest clients instructed me to partner with one of their best vendors when we started working with them. I went to that vendor and met with the only person I knew, which was the head of DEI. That person suggested that the only way they would work with me, because they saw me as a competitor with a $3 million business, was if they did all the work for me. I was shocked and politely declined. The response was, "You speak good English, but you're not understanding me." I promptly left. Now, I'm an immigrant, and that was downright insulting because I was not looking for a handout, and I spoke better English than they did. In contrast, PPL reached out to us for the 30/30 NICLIP, which you saw so many partners, not just us, because of our track record and expertise and our cultural competence as a developer. We asked that we be the lead on the project. They agreed. PPL empowers its partners and ensures that we have a leading role and a substantial voice in the project because they could have done it on their own. Now let's talk about philanthropy. Because of the lack of investment, I'm making a big assumption that philanthropy often assumes that Black and Brown-owned developers will grow independently, even as B Corps. Yet these companies frequently lack investments. As a Black woman who's immigrant, I don't have the benefit of friends, family, or generational wealth to support my business. It's crucial for philanthropy to invest capital in our business, not as a handout, but as an investment that promises returns. PPL has made it their mission to partner with companies like mine, demonstrating the commitment because they are a nonprofit that is in their mission. In contrast, we expect privately owned companies to take on partnerships for Black and Brown-owned businesses with no incentive. They offer very rare support, and once in a while, we do have great partners, but very few of them expect to get something in return. Finally, purchasing. We at North Companies receive partnership proposals that are merely transactional all the time. These are intended to fulfill diversity requirements without fostering genuine collaboration. These proposals lack long-term commitment needed for real growth. We need long-term commitment to continue purchasing directly from Black and Brown-owned businesses, not through intermediaries, as these companies are often lack direct access to customers and purchasing. The numerous barriers in place perpetuate a disadvantaged position, preventing them from scaling up, evidenced by the lack of a prominent Black development companies and general contractors in the Twin Cities, especially because we have so many amazing general contractors that are over $1 billion, and I can name a few, and I'm proud of them, but they're all owned by white men. Now, Paul Williams has a quote that I love, and Paul is an inspirational mentor of mine, and I know that we gave him applause, but there is nothing that I can tell you that would tell how much Paul has impacted a lot of people in our community. Paul has a quote, and he says, "We build with community, not for community." That philosophy drives PPL's equitable partnerships, ensuring community needs truly steer projects. But let me be clear. My presence here today as a Black immigrant woman running a successful development and construction firm is a testament to the power of entrepreneurship and the American dream. While the road has been difficult, the single most powerful tool, I believe, to build generational wealth and uplift communities is through entrepreneurship, second to home ownership. My dream of entrepreneurship would not have been possible without the amazing partners, customers, public and private, and investors, some of whom are in this very room, who took the chance on our business by giving us opportunities that we were leading, not being included as just check the box. My business would not have been where it is today without these partners, and I'm deeply grateful for that. Our why as a company, nor companies, is to provide an exceptional, unparalleled service, to provide opportunities for people that look like me. It's been shown that diverse companies are also a haven for diverse talent. 75% of our employees are people of color and women. Our tagline is building a future of shared prosperity. So when I have one wish of you as I close my remarks, that in 5 years we will make so many strides that I stand to talk with you about the strides we made and how many businesses that are owned by developers of color and commercial general contractors of color have grown so much that we get to celebrate. There's 2 things that I love: classical music and reading, and swimming, maybe 3. There's a saying, no one can whistle a symphony. It takes an orchestra to play. I believe we are an orchestra of diverse talent, united in our pursuit of equitable future, a future where partnerships lead to empowerment, not exploitation, a future where doors are opened, not shut, a future where commitment is eternal, not fleeting. And when we get that symphony playing, it is in perfect harmony. That is when true change resonates across our city, our industries, and that is when caring turns into action. Thank you.
How my life is different is I own a home, and I got somewhere where my kids can grow up at and call their home. I got someplace that's safe haven for the kids. So basically, it's a start for me and for my children. So they say, Father doing it, so that's gonna make them want to do it. So when they see me do it, they're gonna be better than me.
Noel, thank you. We appreciate your remarks. PPL also has partnerships with employers, educators, and the participants in our Career Readiness Pathway programs. Just as program participants choose PPL to walk alongside them as they work towards their goals, PPL chooses to offer the pathways and programs that are needed to move our region into the next phase of economic competitiveness. We offer skills and certifications that allow folks to be ready for the jobs of the future. We recently graduated our first cohort of participants ready for careers in information technology, and we continue to graduate new high school graduates from our 2 alternative high schools with Minneapolis Public Schools, as well as our Diploma Connect program. Diploma Connect is a program that's close to my heart, just under 2 years old, is already having a tremendous impact, and I'm happy to introduce that we have some of these graduates joining us this morning. I'd like to introduce Tony Carnell, Kai Bates, and their dad, Kylander Bates Sr.
Sorry, I have to find my paper. Hello and good morning, everyone. I am excited to be here and honored to share the stage with my dad and my little brother. When I first found out about the Diploma Connect program at PPL, the flexibility was appealing, but the ability to receive my diploma rather than a GED is what really drew me in. I knew that an actual diploma would provide me with more opportunities. This program met me right where I left off in my past education, so I did not have to waste time fulfilling credits I already have. This felt almost too good to be true. I was able to accomplish a goal I have had since I was a little boy, while still maintaining a job and not having to restart. As I began to spend time in the workspace, I felt the teachers, Denise and Jenna, really cared about me. When I realized the program was everything it was advertised to be while having amazing educators, I knew I had to tell my brother to join me in this life accomplishment. Beyond the education and journey I was able to walk through with my brother, I found my confidence and I came out of my shell while being in this Diploma Connect program. Last year, I was honored to get the opportunity to go to the Capitol to speak about this program and my experience. I've never had a feeling like that before, to speak to state lawmakers and have them listen to me about my story. I felt empowered and excited to make a difference. Today, I know that I am feeling the same way. I feel overwhelmed with joy when I know that I was able to not only get my adult diploma, but also have inspired my brother to do this with me. I am eager to use my education and newfound confidence to continue to grow and move forward, not only for me, but for my family. Thank you.
Good morning, how y'all doing? Good morning, and thank you for having us today. When I was in high school, in the class with 40 other kids, I didn't get the one-on-one attention I needed. The traditional high school setting was just wasn't the right fit for me. So when I left school without my diploma, I started working. I thought I would just keep working and eventually get my diploma someday. Almost everyone in my family had their diploma, and the dream of finishing never left me. I've been chasing my high school diploma for a while before I came to PPL. I started a program, and for one reason or another, I had to stop. Either the school would move, and I have no transportation, the class schedule would conflict with my job, or COVID would shut down in-person learning, which I knew I needed to succeed. Then my brother told me about the program when he was enrolled in at PPL. At first, I wasn't interested, thinking that it would force me to change my work schedule or somehow be just like the other programs. Okay, at first, seeing my brother do his work made me feel guilty. I felt guilty for not doing what he was doing. It took me a minute, but eventually I decided to check it out. I quickly learned how different Diploma Connect and the staff at PPL were. The teachers were there, very hands-on, and able to work with me one-on-one. I was able to work at my own pace, and I could sense that they really wanted me to succeed. It all just clicked. I studied during lunch breaks, at work, and as soon as I got home, because once I start something, I'm really eager to finish. Quickly, my sense of guilt turned into a sense of relief. Once I finally got that diploma, I felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. Graduating was nothing but a joy, not only for myself, but for my brother and my family. It was amazing to see them all supporting me. My parents could finally say that all of their kids had their high school diplomas. Having my diploma means I no longer have to worry about that barrier, and I'm able to seek out better jobs and better opportunities. I no longer have that leash around my neck. Just last month, I graduated from an HVAC program. That's heating, ventilation, and air conditioning program. And I'll be starting my pre-apprenticeship very soon. After that, I'll be fully into my career as an HVAC technician. My dream is to be totally self-sufficient and own my own HVAC business one day. None of this would be possible without PPL and Diploma Connect. PPL's programs are there to help people of all ages and races, truly everybody. Not having my diploma was something holding me back, but now I'm able to go out into the world, further myself as a man and as an adult. Now there's nothing holding me back. Thank you, PPL, my family, and all of you for being here today, and keeping PPL going. You're helping to make dreams come true. Have a good day.
Grand Rising all, how are you? Thank you so much for having me here today to share a bit about the impact that PPL has had on me and my family. As you heard, both of my sons recently graduated from the Diploma Connect program at PPL. Watching them both participate in the graduation ceremony was a joyful experience. Don't get me wrong, I was nervous at first, but seeing them in their caps and gowns, I was proud of them. I knew that they did it on their own and that they were setting their standards for others. What they didn't know that at one point in time that I was the first person in the family to benefit from PPL's work. Back in 1992, I was ready to move out onto my own and get my first apartment. It was in a PPL-owned building that I signed my very first lease. I couldn't imagine that some 30 years later, two of my future sons would also become beneficiaries of PPL's mission. As I watched my sons pursue their diplomas, I could see that the Diploma Connect was helping them get the most out of their life. I see the effects that lack of education and have on the community, especially among people of my own race. I see it on the corners in the inner cities, people turning to drugs and violence. I've also been on both sides of that in my youth. I had my own transgression and tribulations, but as an adult, I choose to coach and mentor. I choose to raise my kids and focus on work and family, and I know that if you could just get one or two of those guys off the streets to help them make a righteous living, it could make a big difference. And seeing my sons do the work gives me hope for future generations. I'd like to thank PPL on both of my sons for educating them and treating them with respect. And hey, PPL isn't done with us yet. Watching my son's journey towards success so inspired me. So I'm too returning to PPL to further my education. I believe in the power of knowledge and lifelong learning, and if my expanded education opened doors to new career opportunities, fantastic. From housing to career readiness, PPL has been a part of two generations of this family, and who knows, in another 20 years or so, I may get to witness a third generation member of our family speak on this very stage. What I do know is that my family knows the importance of the work that PPL does, and we are forever grateful for them. And we also know that the work would not be possible without PPL like you. My family would not be in this room today without people like you. Thank you for listening today and for supporting PPL's work.
Greetings, PPL Familia. My name is Paul Williams, and I am so honored to be the president and CEO of Project for Pride in Living. That's an applause line. Now, I have to go off script immediately, which the staff will kill me for, but last weekend I was preparing for these remarks with my family, and my daughter said, well, how are you going to start your speech? And she said, well, maybe we should just look up on ChatGPT. And so she talked to ChatGPT and said, who is Paul Williams, CEO of Project for Pride in Living? And here's what ChatGPT said. As of my last update in January 2022, there's no widely known figure named Paul Williams who is the president and CEO of Project for Pride in Living or associated with a prominent nonprofit organization. If you'd like, I can craft a fictional description of Paul Williams for the context of our conversation. So it's important that I start out by introducing myself. What an incredible set of stories we've heard here today, and 900 of you here to hear those stories. Just so grateful for all of you being here. Tony, Kai, and Kai Sr., congratulations on your success and your continued commitment to furthering your education through PPL. Nawal, thank you for sharing your story, for speaking truth, and for your partnership with PPL on so many fronts. We are grateful for all that you've done. On the video, Michael, Ruben, Damaris, Anthony, thank you too for being our partners and for helping
explain what it means to advance equity in neighborhoods with community. You'll hear me talk a lot about that here this morning. That video is just the beginning, and I hope you all found it not only educational, but also inspiring and powerful. Why is advancing equity, centering community voice, building community, tapping community visions and capacity so important? Despite what social media and the headlines declare, folks want a better future for themselves and for this community. Our job at PPL is all about bringing that to the fore, through housing, through job skills, through education, but more importantly, through the ways in which we deliver all of those things. What's made PPL so special is that we believe in this holistic approach, housing and jobs, providing stability and helping folks discover, or more likely rediscover, the inner capacity they already have. Some of you have heard me say that PPL is not here to fix anybody. We're not here to diagnose your problems and fix you. We're here to build something stronger, something more durable, something that creates long-term assets and the wherewithal to do your own work in the long term, to own your own future. We just marked 4 years since the killing of George Floyd. I'm more convinced now than ever that if there's one lesson from those painful days, it's that we have to stop doing things to people and start doing things with people on many, many different levels. You heard us say that in the video. I think the riots clearly taught us that people in communities that don't have a sense of ownership in their respective space and surroundings are vulnerable to exploitation and reckless destruction. The folks who devastated our neighborhoods had no ownership in those spaces. PPL's mantra coming out of those riots was, how we rebuild is as important as what we rebuild. That lesson has been the centerpiece of our strategic direction for the last 4+ years. And I think that approach is starting to show results. This is what it means to be stronger with community. Coming out of the multiple pandemics, COVID, George Floyd, political unrest, racial, social discord, we continue to hear this narrative that our neighborhoods are sinking into decay and despair. But I want to tell you that there is hope. At PPL, we're pitching hope, and it's right here. You see it on Lake Street. You see it on the north side of Minneapolis and on the east side of St. Paul. It's in Hopkins and in New Hope. And you see it at 800 West Broadway, on Franklin Avenue and along University Avenue in St. Paul. You can see it and you can feel it. Communities are energized and getting to work. That doesn't mean we don't have a lot of work left to do. But it does mean that we need to do that work in the right ways. This concept of equitable development, being intentional about how we approach and do our work, is central to PPL's strategic direction. This is not an out there concept. It really is simple. It's the intentional connecting of equity and inclusion with community development and redevelopment. It's about being purposeful and investing in a different way. It's ensuring that we are lifting up the dignity of the people around us. You heard that talked about in the video. It's taking the time to truly listen and create pathways to ownership for folks in our communities. It's building the skills and capacity of others, not out of charity, but as an investment that benefits those who will live in and around our developments. Why? Because typically those capital investments are owned by others. You heard Nawal refer to this, meaning their benefits or profits don't actually accrue to the residents or the neighborhood. We need to reverse that. Finally, it's also about creating space for differences, by ensuring that the voices who aren't always at the table have true access to the process and to opportunity.